right, welcome. This is the first of the Queen's Sampler Project, sponsored by Sassy Stitchery. This is the start right here. We're very excited, and you can see Vaughn. Vaughn and I both got really dressed up for the event. Yeah. I have our best T-shirt on.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think this time we're both centered in the screen, so we should be good.
Yeah.
And I think we have the sound. We may actually have our act together. No.
This time, maybe.
Nah, not happening. So we're going to get started. So this video is going to be just what Vonda and I have done to get ready to do the project. And this is what I do for everyone, and I'm sure for you. So even if you're not doing the Queen Sampler Project, you might pick up a tip or two, or you might just laugh at us and say, you guys are whatever. So I don't know. So that's what we're going to focus on this time. And then after that, we'll be doing, like we said, videos, podcasts, but follow us on Instagram for sure, because that's the best way to keep up on like a day-to-day basis. Because I'm going to set this up and then get stitching right away. I want to at least work on the top row just to get a sense of what this is like. So we're going to start with that. So first step is to prepare the linen. Tell us how you do it. It'll be interesting to see how we differ.
Well, I know that I'm not as fancy as you are. All I do is I iron it, and I also starch it.
Show me that motion, the ironing motion. I want to copy that. That's how it goes. Okay.
I iron it and I put starch on it.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. All right.
That's
Thank
exactly
you.
right. So I iron it. I usually, if it's not, what is this? Serged, I'll zigzag it. But since we got this from Kim, and Kim always serges her linen when she sends it, I didn't have to do that step. So I ironed it and I starch mine because I like mine to be a little, I iron it and starch it. And then what I did was I counted to the middle.
Oh, wait, whoa. Talk to me about starching it, because I don't do that. So.
Oh, I get, like you can use Aleene's Best Press. You can use that, but it's a starch alternative. But what I use is, I think it's called Max, MAXX, and I think it's Faultless. It's Faultless Max is what I use, and it makes it kind of crispy, but it also like opens up the hole.
My linen is crispy.
And I think it opens up the holes.
Oh.
A little bit, yeah.
Oh.
Personally, maybe that's just like my own, but I think it opens up the holes. And then that way, when I put it in my roller frame, then I feel like I can get it more blocked, like straight. I feel like I can get it straight better when I put it in my roller frame, because my roller frame isn't like your frame, because mine's a split level and it has those tacks along.
Right.
So I have to pierce the fabric, and I feel like I can get it straight. So that's what I do. I just pierce my fabric, and then I use these mitten clips to pull it from the side tension, so it has side tension.
Yeah, and that's mitten clips, and then you sewed Velcro on it or something?
Yeah, it's actually not sewn. It just goes in the like the little right there.
Oh, okay.
And then that way you can pull it tight.
So it's just a strap. It's just a strap of Velcro then, instead of elastic or something. Oh, okay.
Right. And then I just pull it really tight and go like this, and then that way, see, it just pulls it.
Yeah.
I just kind of did this on my own about a month ago, and this is a huge game changer in my opinion.
Yeah.
These mitten clips. You can find the mitten clips at Joann's or on Amazon. They're cheaper on Amazon. But and this Velcro is I got this on Amazon too, and it comes in a big roll. So
And talk about that. What's on the bottom there?
Oh, these are called.
See how I pointed? at the bottom. That's me
See,
pointing
and
at the bottom.
I understanded it.
And this is me ironing.
I understanded it, Gary.
See, and you can iron and point at the same time, and it's very cool.
So what this is I always lean my arm. So I stitch in the ditch. You stitch in the ditch too, right?
I do. Mm-hmm.
Now somebody asked me what is stitch in the ditch, and that means like when you roll your fabric on, it's instead of coming on the outside flat, it's on the inside flat. So that's stitch in the ditch. And the reason I do that is because if there's any dirt or anything, it's on the back side of your linen, not on the front side of your linen where, it'll show. But I put this is just cotton batting, and I put this on the front, and these are they're called thread peels, and you can find them, I think probably you can find them in Joann's. I got mine at my quilt shop, and they're silicone, and you just flip them on there like this, and that keeps the quilt batting on there. So when I lay my arm, when I'm stitching, I lay my arm on it, and that keeps it clean. Any dirt gets on the quilt batting, and I just keep it on there. And when I scroll up, it actually will just roll. I never have to take these off when I scroll, because they'll just, it'll just let it scroll without having to take it off. So
see, that's pretty neat. Yeah, that's pretty neat, because I have a cotton handkerchief that I just drape over it, but I always have to take it off and put it on.
Yeah.
So this eliminates that.
Yeah. And then you can just, and then when, like I don't put anything over it when I get done. I don't put anything over it. I just leave it out like this. Unless I'm done stitching on it for a while, then I put it inside a pillowcase. But, so that's how I started up. So basically I just counted to the center. I marked it, and then I counted back, and then here's my 3 inches down and 3 inches to the side, and I know that's where I've got to start, right there.
Okay. And how do you mark that then?
With a needle.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So,
and when you starch it, it's not real stiff. You just get like on a scale of 1 to 10, maybe a 4 or 5.
Before I start, or when I start, I try to get it as tight as I can get it, and it's probably like an 8.
But starching.
With starch. Yeah, no, it's not real. It's not real stiff. No.
Okay. Yeah.
But I feel like I can get it. You really can't see, but I feel like I can get it square in here when I starch it. But it kind of wears off as you work on it and stuff.
Right.
So.
But if it's in there square, then you don't care if it wears off.
No. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Learned something. But I like that cotton batting on the bottom. That's really excellent.
Yeah, that is that. Yeah. If I do say so myself, that is excellent.
You're so humble. You're so humble. It touches me. Yep, I did it. Okay, so I do it a little different, and this I think comes from my needlepoint days. So when I get linen, and of course it's all wrinkled or folded or whatever, and I learned this from somebody. I take like a Tupperware bowl and put just barely a dab of Dawn detergent in there, and then tepid water, and then I put the linen in there and scrunch it all up. This is me scrunching it all up. See how that works?
Yeah.
And ironing, pointing, and scrunch it all up, and then I rinse it thoroughly in this, dump it out, go through the whole thing. Then I roll it up in a towel, and then stand on it and stomp on it to get the excess water out. And then I go and iron it on linen setting and full steam, and iron it till it's dry. Yeah. And that eliminates the wrinkles for me. But then I always, like this one, there were a couple wrinkles wouldn't come out, so then I used the best press. And that, because ever since you mentioned that, I keep a bottle of that around. That's very good, that best press.
I use best press too. I used on this one Faultless Max is nice too.
Yeah,
but it does have, sometimes it can get a little flaky, like have that white starch flakes. So if you don't like that, then just use best press.
Yeah. And then I forgot to mention that, like you said, Kim serged these things. But if I cut out a piece from a yard of stuff that I have, then I'll cut it with my roller cutter as square as I can. And then I always square it up. So I'll pull off threads from the side till I can pull one that's the full length and one that's the full width on all four sides.
Yeah.
See how I'm showing you how to do that? So that then I know that it's square, and then I'll trim off all that edge, and then I'll serge it or put a zigzag on it on the sewing machine.
Yeah, and see, I never did that until you started talking about that in these podcasts, and so now I do that. I call that Gary Parrin.
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
I just like to have that, know that that fabric is square all the way around, and that I don't have it, because you can never get linen to lay square anyway to cut it. So that way I know it's squared. So then I do a different approach, and I'm sure this comes from my needlepoint days, because that's where I learned it. So I'll take, and I don't know if you can see this, so I'll take thread in each corner.
Yeah.
And make a big X. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah,
Move
and make a big X.
Yeah.
And then where it crosses, then I hate marking on my thread or on my canvas. So then where it crosses, then I'll sew in just a piece of thread like that marks the spot. That's the center. And then I count all the way to the top, and then I'll put another thread at the top, and that's top center. And then I count over to top left and put another thread. So then, and I leave those in till I stitch over them. And that way, it's probably overkill, but at least I know where my top left is. I know where my top center is, and I know where my center is. And then that allows me then to measure side to side and top to bottom all the way around and make sure I have it centered, and that I have enough on each side, and that I have an equal amount on each side. That's just the way I do it. And then I know, and then the when I get done, then obviously these threads, these big X's, then I just pull them out. It just comes out like that.
Huh.
And but that allows me to know that I have the center. I'm determined now to pull this one out, just because it's there. But so then when I start stitching, then that's what I have. I have 3 pieces of thread, middle, top, center, and top left, because I always start top left out of habit. But that just allows me, and then I, like I said, I just leave them and then cut them out. But so that's how I do it. I mean, it's probably overkill, probably ultra anal, but that's what I do. And then I know exactly where I'm at. And then I put this on the scroll rod and go from there. And then now it's like there have been times when I'll prepare 3 or 4 pieces of linen for projects at one time, because if I'm going to do one, I might as well, and I know I might as well do 3 or 4. So then I'll take PVC pipe and I'll wrap the pipe in acid-free tissue paper, and then I'll roll the linen on that so that it doesn't get any wrinkles. Hey, I went to the trouble to get them all out, I might as well. So and then I'll store it in a plastic bag or something. But on PVC pipe, then I know it's not going to get wrinkled. And I've got back there in the corner, there's 2 or 3 that are stored in this right here on PVC. Probably can't see it. I don't know if you can see it. But anyway, on PVC in their pipe, because you can get PVC pipe cheap at Home Depot, and a lot of times they'll have pre-cut pieces. So I'll just go get some of those. So that's the way I do it, by linen to get ready. And then that's ready to stitch. And then, yeah, mine goes on a Millennium frame. I'm always afraid to get a wrinkle in this thing now.
Don't get a wrinkle.
I can't help it. It's the way I am. So then mine goes on the Millennium frame, but I don't use the clips, though I might do it. But the Millennium frame tends to hold it across the board because of the way it's attached. So I really don't feel like it needs to be pulled out pulled out from the side. It's tight all the way around. I mean, this is just drum tight
Right.
all the way through. So I've never felt like I needed to have those clips. But
The
now
Millennium frame. Now, where is that from? Tell me about that.
that's the one from England. The needle needs are necessary.
Oh.
Yeah. So I have.
Those are the ones that take a long time to get.
Yeah, yeah. So I have like this is 36 inch, and then I think I have 28 or 30 inch scroll bars, and then I have two different heights of the upright. So I'll keep Sarah B. We're not saying the last name anymore because we learned from Nicola that we do it wrong. Sarah Brazier.
Brazier. It's like it's brazier.
Brazier. So I have taller ones, and then I think I'll put the Queen sampler on that on my shorter rods. But yeah. So that's that. That's how I do it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that way, I just have to have that that linen. Just I can't stand it if it's got any wrinkles in it, and so I get. I mean, you do the same thing, you know. I just, and then I'm really careful to make sure I don't introduce any wrinkles as we go along, and then yeah. So that's what I do. Okay, yeah. So talk about your threads. How do you do the threads?
Okay, so I really like those teardrop thread holders.
Yeah.
What are those? You have those, don't you? The teardrop ones?
That's what I use.
Show
the brand.
those because I don't have those right now.
Oh, the brand is that I get. I got these from Stitchville, USA, up in Minneapolis. Thread Drops is the brand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't use those. I mean, I do use them.
I'm too cool for those.
But I think the ones that I use are from Access Commodities, I think. But they're just the same thing as those are. But I ran out of them, and I couldn't order any by the time that I wanted to sit down and do these for this. So what I do is I use old, I am recycling and reusing. Because I bought this Fiskars, puncher, okay, and then I have a 1 inch hole, hole puncher, and then just the regular punch for the little to get on my rings. But I use old greeting cards and I punch out a thing.
Look at you.
Yeah, and then and greeting cards are like the perfect. They're not as thick as those thread drops, but they are pretty. They're better than like paper, and they're just enough to put them in. And so these are mostly all MPI. So I put MPI, and then on there, or soy. I put
Soie d'Alger.
Yeah, soy. I can't.
Or go soy. So let's go soy d'Alger.
Soy d'Alger, yeah, that's basically
soy d'Alger.
Yeah,
that's what we're calling it.
Yeah. So
soy d'Alger.
Yeah, soy d'Alger. So that's what I do. I have all of my threads, and then when I cut them, so I take them, I prepare the card with the number and whatever it is, MPI or whatever, and then I take off the little plastic things and I get the ends and pull them all out. Then half them again and half them until they're about 18, from my thumb to my elbow, and then I cut them, and then I just loop them on here, and that's how I do my threads. But another good thing is that they sell these. If you don't want to buy like this, I bought these, and these come at they'll have them at Hobby Lobby or Michael's. And you can just, punch a hole, in these and use these. They have them in different sizes. But I buy these, and then I put everything, what this is, what I'm going to use this for, and then I put what is my linen or whatever on the back. So then I always know, when you have 1,000 of these rings, like I do, because I start everything.
Because you're out of control is what you are.
Then I can just look and go, oh, what are these for? Oh, it's for the queen sampler. So that's how I do mine.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
that.
Well, that greeting card thing. So show me that punch. So that's just a hole punch, but it's a 1
Yeah.
inch hole.
Yeah, it's a big one. See, so here's the punch. And then, but I got this, it's a Fiskars or Fiskars. And I got it, they're about $20, and I saved my coupons, or I got this at Hobby Lobby. So they're always at 40% off a regular price at Hobby Lobby. So I bought this at Hobby Lobby, and I got it for like $10 after that. And then this one was just $1, and it's a 1 inch, puncher. And that's how I do it. And I've been doing that for about a year. No, not a year, maybe like 8 months or 9 months. And I kind of like using, because you know how you get all those Christmas cards and stuff like that. And I always feel bad about
I don't know, but you do.
Yeah, I get a lot of Christmas cards.
That's Margaret's department. Sorry.
And so I just have started using them for like little thread drops.
Yeah.
And so I'm reusing them. And I mean, and then like you can see like there's something that somebody wrote back there to me, which is kind of nice. Sometimes you can read what they wrote. And you
yeah, no doubt.
Remember?
Yeah, heartwarming sentiments. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. While you're stitching. So.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Good for you. Go Vanna. I'm ironing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, so I do the thread drops, though I must say I'm intrigued by what you're doing because it's cheaper than these. But I don't have as many projects like this going on.
Yeah.
Plus, it's fun to do this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, whatever. So I do this. I'll take this is just me, but I'll take a skein, a soy to alger.
Yeah.
And then this is probably the only thing I've ever used my porcupine quill thing for, because it's so long I hate it. I don't even know why I paid $45 for it, but it's cool looking, African porcupine. But anyway, so I'll put that through the loop.
Yeah.
Okay, like that. Can you see?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that allows me then to take the slip the thing off the wrapper, and then I know that I've got it like this,
right,
so that nothing's tangled. And then then I'll start unwrapping it, but then I'll lay a tape measure down on the table, and then I'll just lay them out at 18 inch lengths and cut at 18 inch. Well, so I'll hold it in my hand like this, like I was gonna do make a ball of yarn for knitting. And then I'll just unwrap. This is me unwrapping, and then lay it out along the tape measure and just cut it at 18 inches, and then have them and then put them in the thing. So that's what I do.
That's a good idea.
So, but that way then you eliminate getting all tangled up.
Right.
Right.
Because that is a problem.
Yes. That's
nice.
what I do.
Nice.
Yeah. That eliminates that. And then it's the same thing. I just mark them. But now you've got me thinking, because now I've got Sarah B, and this one I'm going to put a tag on so that I don't.
Yeah. These are lovely, and they come like in packs of 50, I think, for like $3. So.
Oh my. Yeah, that's a good idea. So I'm doing that. And then I wanted to show my when I'm stitching my Pako P-A-K-O thing. A lot of people I'm sure use these, but I love these things. It's just a triangle, it's empty underneath thing. P-A-K-O, you can get them anywhere.
I'm getting me that.
Yeah, because if I do, particularly with samplers, if I do a motif and then you always have a decent length of thread left, then what this does is there's a little card that slips in here. And then you write the symbols on for each of the colors, and then these blue holes are foam. And so you have all the symbols for your colors on the card. And then like if you have, you can tell I've got some decent lengths of thread. And then, so rather than throw them away or lay them aside and hope I remember what color they are, then that keeps track. So then if I come back and I need 5 stitches of a color, then I'll pull one of these out and do those 5 stitches. And then I don't have to thread a new needle, and I make better use of the silk. So, and then, if one looks a little ratty when I pull it out, then I just throw it away. But for the most part, I make good use of those, and they get kind of tangled up here. So when I pull it out here, I always kind of hold my hand on so it doesn't pull everything out. But yeah, so of course the drawback is it requires you got to have a bunch of needles to do that, because like right now I've got a bunch of needles sucked up holding little pieces. So you got to have a bunch to keep stitching and have these. But I love this little thing, and it makes it real easy to keep track of things and to make better use of the thread. So
yeah, I'm getting me one of those.
Yeah, I like that. So that's how I do my threads, is like that. So we're not that far off on any.
No.
Yeah. And then I also wanted to show on the beads what I do with beads. So because if you get Mill Hill beads, they come in this little plastic flip thing, which always looks like it's the handiest, best designed bead holder thing on the planet, till you open this up one time and lose control of the bottom and it flips, and then
bingo.
It's raining beads. I had that happen on carpet one time. I said never again, because I lost several beads. Actually, somebody suggested putting like a nylon footy over your vacuum and vacuuming it. Yeah. I just got on my hands and knees and felt around until I got as many as I thought and called it that. But anyway, so I bought these little boxes that you can buy. Is it showing? Yeah, it's showing. These little boxes that stack, and they have a lid, which is good to, boxes should have lids.
Yeah.
It's a good design feature.
Yeah.
But anyway, and you can hang on, like there's a little bump down here, and you can hang on so you can lift the lid without losing control. And then I just cut off from the Mill Hill package, I just cut off the label and put it in here. And that's how I store my beads. So when I get a new bead supply for whatever project, I immediately put them in here to make sure that I don't flip them on the floor. And then these are stackable, and the lid snaps down nice and firm, but it's easier to get open than the Mill Hill things, which sometimes are a struggle to separate and open up. So then, so that works really well, and they stack. And I'm sure you can get a rack to hold them all, but I just put them in a drawer. But I love these little things. And then, there's not very many beads in this, just, that many, but that's okay. And then it's curved on the end, so it's really easy to get beads out. And so then I use this, and then a little bead tray whenever I do beads. But yeah.
Do you ever use a tacky bob?
No, I never have. I've always just used a bead tray, a metal bead tray, but those are pretty good.
I like tacky bobs.
Yeah.
And I put my beads in like those little round lip gloss containers that you can, plastic containers, so they have a screw lid on, and then I just shake out some on my tacky bob, and then that's how I do it.
Well, I wonder, for my lip gloss containers, I ought to look and see. Maybe I should use those for that.
I get empty lip gloss containers.
Oh, yeah, I don't have those. Yeah. And I'm not planning on getting anytime soon.
You're not?
Okay. No. So yeah, so that's what I do. Yeah, that's it, right?
Yeah.
So then with that, then we're all set up and ready to go. I just got to put my linen on my scroll rods, and I want to put some stitches in this weekend, see how it goes.
Yeah, so before we do that, so we're done talking about how we set up, right?
Okay.
Are we?
Unless you want to talk about dating Tacky Bob in high school, we're
No.
good. So yeah, we're done then.
What I wanted to know is okay, so when we get started here, I want to know, like, okay, so I'm looking at my pattern here.
You're doing this. You're doing this just to show off that you have it in sleeves in a notebook, right?
No,
yeah. Okay.
But it
Fine.
is in a nice
Fine.
book.
That's okay if you feel better. Yeah.
It says that okay, so I was looking, and so correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm like a novice at this. So we're gonna look first. We're gonna look at Darlene's pattern, right?
Yeah.
And it says DB, which I'm assuming is dividing band. Oh yeah, it says these dividing bands 1 and 2 are worked in alternating double back stitch. Okay, and then when I go over here to Linda's stitch guide, it doesn't have anything about the first and second dividing bands. It just says row 2, the satin stitch vine is worked in 1844 medium green. Row 2.
Yeah.
So, okay, so row 2, this is what I want to know. Row 2, is that when we're doing